Hi, and welcome to your opportunity partner. My name is Professor Art Gogatz, and I'm your host for this series. Today we're going to talk about opportunities and hope. But before we do, if you like this series, if you find anything useful, please do subscribe to the channel. We're a young channel, and because of that, your subscriptions do help. Leave a comment if you can, but try to subscribe and help us along the way. Hope is an important part of our society. It helps us stay positive. It helps us to avoid getting down and depressed. It's something to look forward to. It gives us positive energy. It's the foundation of most religions. It's used all over the place. We hope for a good grade in school. We hope for a promotion at work. We hope somebody likes us. We hope the weather's good. We hope if we invite someone for dinner that they like what we made, what we cooked. Hope is all over the place. But is something which is really true. Hope is not a strategy. And if it becomes one, then it's not really so positive. Now, I'm all for hope. Hope and prayer is wonderful. Not telling you not to. I think it's great to do. But you have to realize that hope and prayer sometimes is not enough. It doesn't work. We hope, we pray, we don't get it. It doesn't work. So there's a good statement. It's actually a Persian proverb, and it says, go wake up your luck. Now what's that mean? It means go help your luck. Well, if we apply that to hope, we can say go wake up your hope, or maybe go help your hope, because hoping sometimes is not enough. Sometimes you need hope and prayer plus. Now that's what we're going to talk about today. What's the plus? Well, what is an example of hope as a strategy that doesn't sort of work? Okay, the lottery. Now, lotteries are really popular. Most countries have them. And you can win a lot of money. And somebody has to win. When we look at the odds for winning a lottery, if we look at the big lotteries, the ones in the US, the odds of winning a big lottery is calculated to be about 300 million to 1. Okay, you buy a lottery ticket from time to time. Okay, no problem. But some people buy lottery tickets a lot, 30, 50. I've been in stores. I remember being in a convenience store, gas station in the U.S., and the guy in front of me who was waiting to pay bought 50 lottery tickets. So I remember asking him, because I like to talk to people, I asked him, do you do this occasionally or do you do it regularly? He said, well, I do it every week. Well, when you are taking money and spending it on lottery, as much money as you have, it's not really a strategy because you're not going to win. It's more of an addiction. And that becomes dangerous when you're using money that you need for certain things to see if you can win more. Same thing when you go to the casinos. I remember being in Macau, where they have a lot of casinos. It's the Asian Las Vegas, and walking outside the casinos, and they have a lot of pawn shops. And I, that time, stupidly asked my friend who lived there, I said, why do they have the pawn shops next to the casinos? Because they said they are people who lose everything, and then they take their watch or some jewelry that they're wearing and rush to the pawn shop to try to win it back. Okay. Now, when we're basically looking at opportunity and hope, okay, we can say, go wake up your hope. Now, in a previous episode, I talked about people. And I said, all your opportunity comes from people. It doesn't materialize out of nothing. It doesn't come from the sky. It comes from people. So, meet people. They'll help. Okay. And we talked about how do you meet people? Well, can you go up to somebody in the street or any place and just talk to them? Children can. Creative people can. Can you do it? Most of the time the answer is no. You've been taught not to. You're scared. You don't want to be rejected. Okay. Most people are waiting to be found. Yeah, waiting to be found. If you look, you'll find all those people who are waiting, and they'll be happy you found them. There's a children's game called hide and seek. All the children play it. I know I did. They play it in many countries. One person is it, and they go to look, and the other kids, they all hide. Okay. Now, you remember maybe if you played it, did you ever hide really well? I mean, that's the idea. You don't want to be found. You want to hide really well. I remember hiding really well. Nobody found me. Well, an hour later, I come out. The kids aren't playing hide and seek anymore. They're in a different game. So what did I learn? It's no fun to hide and nobody finds you. That's boring. What's better is interaction, finding somebody, not hiding so that nobody knows where you are. Can you go up and talk to somebody? No. Why not? Children can do it. Creative people can do it. I've done it many times. Just go up to somebody and talk to them. Somebody I found attractive or somebody I found interesting. Never really somebody go away, you bother me, stupid. No, it was always fine. We just think it's not going to work. All right, I'll tell you a story. It's a bit of a long story, but it's true. Years ago, I was in U.S., I was in Los Angeles, and I had an obligation, a contract to go to Bangkok in Thailand and teach an MBA course, and I had taught it for that university several times before, and it was a very good course, and I enjoyed teaching it, so it was really great. And at the time, they had political problems in Thailand. This was in 2008, and they had two political factions. They had what they called the red shirts and the yellow shirts. And one of the political factions took over the international airport in Bangkok and closed it down. So people couldn't leave, people couldn't come in. And it basically, because Bangkok's the major city in Thailand, the major airport, and the other airport in the north in Chiang Mai, I think, was also closed down. It paralyzed the country. It lasted for 10 days. Now, at the time, I was scheduled to fly to Bangkok, and I was supposed to go from New York to Taiwan and then to Bangkok. I had my ticket on EVA, Taiwanese airline. So the airline called me and they said, because of the political problem in the airport being closed, we advise you not to fly. They said, we'll rebook you when the airport opens, no problem. I said, no, I want to fly. Because I said to myself, if I agree, they'll put me on the bottom of a long list of people waiting to be rebooked. And by the time they actually do get me a flight and I get there, the course will be over. And I wouldn't get to teach. And I wanted to teach because of the money and also because I enjoyed that teaching. So I said, no, I'm going to fly. My family in the U.S. said, don't go, that's stupid. I said, yeah, I'm going to go. Because the way I reasoned was, and this is hope, I admit I was playing hope at the time to some degree. I said, well, I'll fly to Taiwan and stay there. And when they open the airport, because it'll probably open soon, even though I had no idea about when, I said I'll be closer to Bangkok. It'll be easier for me to get a flight. And so I'll take the flight as I scheduled, and I'll just stay and wait in Taiwan. I like Taiwan. I've been there before. It's a great place. So on the day of the flight, I checked in. And when I checked in, EVA said to me again, don't fly. I again said, no, I'm going to fly. They said, well, when you get to Taiwan, you're on your own. And they made me sign a paper that said when I got to Taiwan, I wasn't going to ask them for a hotel. I wasn't going to bother them. I'm on my own when I get there. I signed the paper. Okay. Now, I'm waiting to get on the plane, and there were two lines of people waiting, but they were checking passports again, like they do a lot. And on the other line, I saw a good-looking young lady, and she looked Thai. Now, most of the people who were going to board the plane were Chinese, but she looked Thai. So, good-looking young lady, I'm always interested in talking to them, but I went up to her and I said to her, excuse me, are you Thai? She said, yes. I said, how are you planning to get from Taiwan to Bangkok? And she said, well, I have a flight into an airport which still is called Utapao, which was an old military airport about 2 hours by car south of Bangkok. And they were using that airport to get people into the country and out on a very limited basis. And she showed me her ticket for that flight. It was an EVA ticket. It was an EVA flight. And I said to her, well, EVA didn't tell me about this. She said, no, they won't. Because she said they don't want you to go into Thailand and be stuck there and cause a problem to them. And she said they're only letting the Thai people go back to Thailand because we're a problem for EVA outside the country. Oh, so I said, oh, not good from EVA because they're prioritizing themselves, not their customers. They're just worried about their own problems. But of course, that's business, I know that. So when the flight got to Taiwan, I immediately went to the transfer desk, and the girl had given me the flight number, so I knew what it was. And I went to the transfer desk and I said, I want that flight. And they gave it to me. I was a bit surprised, but they gave it to me fine. And so I took the flight from Taiwan to Utapao. There were only 2 foreign people on the whole plane. Everybody else was Thai. And flight was fine. It wasn't that easy, though, because when we arrived, they made an announcement, you'll have to wait 5 hours to get your luggage because the airport was chaos, and it's a very small airport anyway, and a couple of flights were landing, and okay, we didn't wait 5 hours. I think we waited maybe 2 or 3 hours. And then, of course, there was no transport. You had to go and make a deal with a local person to drive you to Bangkok, which I did, no problem at all. I got to Bangkok fine. I mean, Now, if I didn't go up and talk to that lady, I'd still be in Taiwan. You have to help your hope and your luck. When you do, it's much, much easier. I fly a lot. Not so much anymore because I'm getting old, but before I flew a lot. And what I would do, because I would fly always a lot internationally, when I had a connection, I would always go to the second flight and go up to the counter, the people, waiting, the check-in crew, and I would say, well, I just flew in from, which was true, they could say, and I said, if this flight is overbooked, because a lot of flights, international flights, they're overbooked. I said, if this flight is overbooked, I volunteer to stay over. because I'm tired from the flight I already took, I'll stay over and this will help you. The people were always happy that I would volunteer to stay over. Most of the time I didn't need to, but I used to do that systematically. And there were times, and I remember those times, when, okay, just before the second flight took off, I remember one time my wife and my oldest daughter and I were flying from Bogota in Colombia to Paris via New York. And so when we got to New York, waiting for the flight to Paris, I went up to the desk and told them, well, if you need, we can stay over. There was 3 people. So before we got on the Paris flight, they called me up and they said to the desk, and they said, well, we thank you, but we don't need you to stay over because we're not overbooked. But because you were nice enough to try to help us, we're going to upgrade you to business class. 3 people. Boom. And that happened several times. Now, if you just go to the airport and dress nicely and be polite, you're not doing anything for the people who are working there. What I was doing was offering to help, and staying over was no problem because I was ready to do it, and I've stayed over before, and they give you the hotel, they give you food, yeah, you get there the next day, so what? But I was upgraded several times just because I offered to help. That is helping your hope. Sure, you hope you get upgraded, but go help it. Same thing with your luck. Now, this idea that hope is not a strategy is important, because we all hope, but we also hope for the strategy. The best way to handle it is continue to hope, but also help it along a little bit. No reason not to. And the help usually involves a person. We'll talk about this one again in a future video. Thank you for today. Thank you for your attention. See you next time.